Hey everybody, I have a special guest from Cologne, came all the way here to Würzburg to talk about AI-generated code. This is Andreas Kotulla. He's the founder of Bitsy, and we held a presentation in the summer. Andreas, help me. Where were we?
We were at the Bitkom Open Source Conference in Erfurt.
All right. And after that presentation, we've received a lot of requests to redo the same presentation online, on stage. We're scheduled next year again. But most of all, people want solutions all of a sudden because we only came up with the problems. Are we going to have solutions, Andreas?
Plenty.
All right. So what is the problem? You came up with the idea that there could be a license problem with AI-generated code already 2 years ago, right?
Exactly. 2 years ago, we had the first presentation. It was at the time when Copilot, Code Whisperer, and all the other AI tools just came up to generate code. And it was seen as a tremendous help in software development. And at that time, we just theoretically looked at it. May there be any issues or not?
So, and now we have the year 2025, just a few days of it. And it turns out there's a problem. What's the problem with AI-generated code?
So originally you would think that code is really generated. However, when you look into it deeper, you will see it's a lot of copy-paste, much more than you think.
That's a big surprise. Actually, when I first heard about Copilot writing code, I thought it would be just like Midjourney. It would create a new code, like Midjourney would create a new image from the training data. But it then turns out it is copy-paste, and we will see example. And that makes it really a license problem if it's copy and paste. All right. So that was the title. We held it in German, and we have an English version here. Anyone who still circulates AI-generated code today has conditional intent. Now that's a legal term. Conditional intent for legal violations, and that means you are responsible for damages or even criminal liability. How to limit the risk, or at least postpone it, or shift it to someone else, or to really solve it. That's, in the end, your decision. So, Andreas, you go.
Okay, before we get started, we did a survey with our audition, and we just asked who writes the code in the company, just to show you that today there is a very high amount of AI-generated code in the company already. And you could see from the answers, there's maybe a small amount, still just humans. Nobody trusts the artificially generated code completely. Most of the time, it's a dream team, a mixture of humans and AI.
So it's only 7 who answered humans only. 24, the vast majority said human plus AI. So everyone is using it, right?
Yeah, and then we wanted to know, do people look deeper into the AI-generated code? Are they checking that it is legally sound? And that, again, was an interesting answer. Around a third of the people said, yes, we are checking it. A third said, no, we don't do anything. And a third said, we don't know. Okay,
come on, unknown. You are in a big audition answering. Okay, you can answer that on a smartphone, but I kind of wonder if they were really giving an honest answer. I could imagine that a lot of these unknown people basically say, my guess, we don't do anything. We don't look into it. So only few said yes, but you can answer that for yourself if you have all necessary procedures implemented. Let's go on.
Yeah, so this is just to see how AI is used in the companies. And so if we look back 2 years ago, everybody was just talking about it. The AI generation was getting interesting. And first people started using it. Today it's a completely different picture. AI is everywhere. So when we did some other surveys, about 80% of the developers are using AI today to generate code, to generate documentation, or to generate test cases. AI is used because it's so much faster, it's so efficient. We see that it's a 25 to 50% increase or even more in the development speed that you have. So it's when you don't use it,
so it's not an option to just outlaw it, to just tell the company we don't use AI-generated code. We've been doing it the old-fashioned way in the past. We just continue like that. Is that an option?
I don't think so. So if you want to be efficient and if you want to be in the market in the future, you need to know it. And we hear from companies that already from the new generated code, more than 30% is AI generated.
Okay, all right, I get it. Everyone is using AI, fine. So what's the problem?
So we will look at some examples. And so what I'm showing here is some real usage of Copilot. And in the beginning, you see the prompt. So this is what the user types in his development environment. And here he wants to transpose a metric. So it's some mathematical function that he wants to have. And as soon as he has typed that, the AI system will kick in and it will give him the solution. So you will see this is Copilot. What the AI system will give you as a solution. You see it's a quite complex algorithm, but it has comments and it's working. So all of that is fine.
It works. That's good code. The black thing is code, and the green stuff over here is comments to explain what's going on. All right. And you said it is functional.
It's working.
All right.
Now the interesting question is, why can the AI do that? So why can it write such a complex
because it's
algorithm?
Intelligent, because it has obtained those skills from its training.
Exactly. It's trained with some code. And the code that was taken to train all the big AIs is mostly open source. It's on the internet already. It's a GitHub or some other repositories where all the code is in. That was used to train the AI system, and now it can respond to all these different prompts that we have there.
Okay.
So if some open source code was used to train the AI, we should be able to find the original in the repositories.
But usually when I see an AI-generated picture, I will not be able to see a similar picture from the training material. Usually it generates completely new products, new pictures, or new code. So this code should not exist anywhere else. It was just newly created right now with the prompt, right?
That's what most of the people think. Now, we did some search, and what you can find in a repository is this algorithm. And
okay,
John, can you see a difference?
Some different colors, but I will not be fooled by that. PQJ. All right, the length is pretty similar. The comments over there are the same.
Comments are the same. The variables are the same.
All right, that's the same
Everything
code.
is exactly the same. There's one small difference. Can you spot it?
Yeah, colors.
I highlighted it for you.
Of course. The license, the copyright statement is not in the generated code. It just cut it out. All right, wait. SPDX license identity LGPL 2.1 plus or any later version. That means that license allows you to use code only under the condition that you show the license and the copyright notice. So if you don't do that, and I'm the lawyer here, that means that usage is illegal. It's a copyright violation of whoever created this code. Timothy A. Davis has the rights for this code and says it can only be used under the LGPL license. Which
with his name, and that's missing in the AI generated code.
Okay, that's good. Was it just a one shot? Does that happen regularly?
So I have some more examples. So if you want to generate a function that is checking if a number is even or not, again, the developer just needs to type this function is even. That's what you want to have.
That's the prompt. You start with that in GitHub, and then it starts creating code.
Prompt.
Okay.
And then the AI system will create this algorithm.
All right, and I know what's going to happen. You tell me this has happened, was published somewhere else? Well,
first of it, I would think, what is this? Because the algorithm to check if a number is even or not is
pretty simple. Yeah.
Normally it's simple, but this algorithm is written in a very bad way. It's very inefficient. So it's first checking is the number 0, then it returns yes, it's even. Then it checks is it 1, then it returns false, so it's an odd number. Then it checks if the number that you gave it was negative, then it will just call itself with the number in positive. Otherwise, it will subtract 2 from the number and call itself again. So it will iteratively go through that loop, which takes a lot of time. But at the end, the algorithm is working.
So why would anyone want to write that kind of code?
As a developer, you wouldn't. That is the question. Why would somebody write this code? And you find some additional information at the bottom. This is some test cases, and in the prompt we did not ask about test cases. We just wanted to have the is-even algorithm. So it's strange why Copilot returns that. But again, we were looking around, does this code exist somewhere in the internet? And we found it, and very interestingly, it is from a book, from Eloquent JavaScript. And the very interesting part is this book is teaching students
how to not write code.
JavaScript, and it has one section about recursion. And in recursion, this is a perfect example to show students how the recursion works. It's not a good solution for the is-even problem. However, when an AI learns on open source code or from code in the internet, this algorithm, we assume, has been typed somewhere in the internet very often. So the AI system thought, I found the solution so often, it must be a valid and good solution. And it also has these test cases. So all of that is from the book.
So we're not only looking at copyright problems, but also about at bad coding. Coding that's used a lot of times, but is not the ideal solution for it. Something that was just used or typed in because, for teaching purposes. So what we have here is a book under Creative Commons license, and the code is under MIT.
So again, I would have expected some copyright notice in the code, but it's
not there. Yeah, okay. MIT is a very liberal license. It means anyone can use it, even in commercial products, as long as you produce the copyright notice. That's the only condition you have: copyright notice and license permission notice. And if you have that, you're fine to go and to do whatever you want. But it fails even those simple conditions.
Exactly. But what we have, how an experienced developer would write this code, it's very simple. So you would just write it like that. That's much quicker and faster and does not have any performance issues. But that's just as an example. And
it probably would not be a copyright issue because that one line of code cannot be copyrighted.
So I have one third example. It's my favorite. And it's an algorithm that is used very often in 3D graphic calculations. So we need the inverse square root to calculate the 3D movements of objects that you have in the picture. And this algorithm is quite costly from a computing power perspective. So it takes a lot of computing power to do this calculation, and you need to do it often when you calculate the positions of all the different objects.
Well, I know this came from time when we were playing on 486 computers. Is that still an issue today when processors are much faster? Do we still need faster algorithm to calculate a square root?
You still need a faster algorithm because you will see today the graphics, the animations have much, much more detail than before. So you come into the same issue again. You need to do all these calculations. And there's a very famous algorithms for that from IDsoft that was done in the 1999, and the computer game Quake 3.
Yes, I remember that. I'm so old. I played Quake on my PC at that time. Right.
So if we look at that algorithm and you put that prompt, fast inverse square root, you will see, again, Copilot comes immediately with this algorithm. It will give you a copyright. It will give you a license.
That's good. So we're safe,
which you assume is perfect. And then there's this algorithm, which is a great computing algorithm because it's using the representation of the floating point numbers in the memory to manipulate that, to get a very near approximation of the inverse square root.
So it's not the actual inverse square root, it's just an approximation, but it's faster.
It's incredibly fast.
Okay.
And you even find it in computer games today or in different gaming machines, frameworks. They still all use that algorithm.
And it contains the magic number OX5F3759DF. Everyone should memorize that magic number. The magic number itself cannot be copyrighted, but the code is copyrighted. The idea, on the other hand, is not. So if someone would explain the idea to me and then I came up with code, that would not be a copyright infringement, unless, of course, that very same code was protected and copied from somewhere.
If you look at it, it's a BSD license. You have a copyright. It looks fine from legal side, doesn't it?
Yeah, if I would see that, I would say there's a license, it makes sense, a copyright notice, all's good. I would just say, go for it.
Okay. So again, we looked for the original, but now look at this. We know it came from IDsoft.
Okay.
We know it's from Quake 3. And
it's a completely different license and copyright owner. So Mr. V. Petkov is not the actual copyright holder for this code. It is IDsoft.
And you would see the different license. It's not BSD, it's a GPL.
It's a GPL. It's a fake GPL instead of a real. Well, wait a minute. The actual license is GPL, while it made it a more liberal BSD license. Now, that's a problem.
And then again, you can compare the algorithm at the bottom, and you will.
It's identical, right?
Identical. Yes.
It just copy pasted it. It even copied the comment. And made the GPL a BSD. So you can never trust the license information anymore. GPL means you have to provide the source code together with all of your own source code that's affected by the copyleft effect. So that creates derivative work. So if you use that code and combine it with your code, you have to provide your code under GPL license as well. That's usually a good reason not to use that code or that license.
Yeah, so what we see here is one of these hallucinations that you can get in AI systems. Now the big question is for you from legal side, is that a problem, or do you think all of that is okay?
Well, definitely that is a problem, because it's a copyright infringement, and it means for us, of course, we can never trust code if it is AI generated. Once we know there was AI generated code, we know that all the license information in there may not be real true. So question is, how do we solve it? And I mean, that's what you make your money with, right? Bitsy would be able to find the actual code, where it came from, and the license, the actual license and copyright holders. So from a legal point of view, there are some simple solutions to that, and one is the Schwarze Peter. I'm not sure if that's played in the American and English-speaking world, card game in Germany, where you try to get rid of one card, the card of the Schwarze Peter. Something racist about it, actually. So one legal solution is make it someone else's problem. Make sure with your contracts that whatever your position is, someone else has the liability to it. So if you buy code, you make sure that the ones providing code don't use AI, which is pretty hard to do, or guaranteed that they have implemented all security measures, the ones you will explain in a minute, to make sure code is properly licensed. And that's even more important today, when you're not just downloading code from GitHub, but actually creating it. Depending on who you are, if you are the OEM or the tier 1 or the tier 2, if you're the person writing the code, however, it would be a little more difficult, because one would expect you solve the problem. Instead, you can also tell your client, well, by the way, I am going to use AI generated code, and it will probably contain copyright infringement, and you are probably fine with that, aren't you? Maybe you will not say this as bluntly as that, but you could tell your customer, if you want this best price, if you want fast coding, we will use AI, and you are the one responsible to checking our code. That, of course, requires me to hand over the code, source code, but that could be one of the solutions. It's not a good solution. So, Andreas, is there a technical solution?
So, I need to say it is very hard to identify that AI generated code, but there are some solutions what at least you should do, and we'll come to that in a minute, where I show different measures that you need to introduce. So there's nothing that you can do. You can do some stuff, but to be 100% sure, that is very difficult.
Well, then the legal approach is the better approach, because if you have no liability, you don't have to worry. But of course, that will not work for everyone. Whenever we talk about free and open source software, people will say, well, everyone is doing it, maybe you can get away from it. And that's always a problem with compliance, that people say, well, what is the risk of being caught? How many people actually do have that problem? And that's when in Erfurt I came up with this little case that's still ongoing, which is an example for open source infringement actually becoming visible. And it's about a car. And I had that car actually at the presentation the other day, when I was presenting from inside of that car, which is a MG4. That's a Chinese car from the manufacturer SAIC. And we look into different cars, and we were looking for the compulsory statements, license, the source codes. We asked for source codes, and long story short, there was not a single copyright information in that car to be found at that time, not in the glove compartment and not on their websites. So what we did is we asked the manufacturer, hey, probably just oversaw it. Can we please have the code, the source code? Can we have the license information? Maybe you don't even have to provide source code, and there was no response from that. So what we did, we filed a lawsuit in Munich, and that case is still ongoing. It's kind of similar to the code in America, where the Vizio case, if you want to look up, the Vizio case is about a TV that was bought by this Freedom Software Conservancy Foundation, and they were going the same way. What these cases have in common is it's not the copyright holder that's making the claim, but it's the customer. So in this time, you have the customer up as potential plaintiff who is claiming for copyright infringements because the product is faulty. And that means for the car, you can get back your money, or you can ask for remedies or for repair or for whatever, but a customer must not put up with a car that has illegal software in it. We don't know what's going on. Actually, we just recently received the response from Sykes lawyers, and the case will be heard next year in summer. So a lot of time till then, and we will keep you updated on that. So that was, we have a video here. AI generated, of course, and it does not show an MG. It's just, so here it goes. Next slide. Yeah, you do the next slide. We were at the IAA, the International, what's the name of that? International Automotive Ausstellung. Did they not translate the name into English? IAERA Mobility. And we looked into some of the cars over there. And what we see there's a gap between compliance in Europe with European manufacturers and the imported Chinese manufacturers. And it seems that there's a lot of homework for some manufacturers still to be done. So here we are. What's that? That's BMW. They usually do a pretty good job on compliance. Are they a customer of yours? You probably don't talk about that. So there were some surprises actually about different cars, like that one that looked pretty good, that has all the license information. These are two lawyers from our team. They went into the car and checked through the onboard units to search for those license informations. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's the video. We did not read through all of it, but at least it was a good beginning, and that's a good idea, to not be visible with your copyright infringement at first sight, to have at least something. Okay.
Yeah, so
back
that
to you, Andreas.
Brings that to the question: what can we do? What are the solutions? What
do you have any?
At least be doing. So first of all, I need to know: do I have AI generated code in my code base? Mm-hmm. And to be honest, it is very difficult to detect that, and you can never be 100% sure. However, there are many things you should introduce, many methods, and the first one is when you look at the code, you can detect it by the style on how the code is written. When you look at AI-generated code, sometimes it looks like textbook code. We had that example. Sometimes it's very generic, very simple, straightforward, with lots of comments, even if you don't really need it. But it's a very vague indication if there is.
And it only gives you the information, is it AI-generated or not, or human-written? It does not mean, when it's AI-generated, that it is copied from somewhere, right?
Yeah. So that was just one indication. Another indication is if you look into the semantics, or how the code is written. Very often in AI-generated code, some edge cases are missing, so it's not checking for empty lists or for some null pointers. That again can be some indication that the code is not really thought through, or that the AI system doesn't know the domain that you're in. It can just generate from what it has seen in the internet. So that may be another indication.
Okay.
So the best thing you can do is you can just do a snippet analysis. So if you would directly find a snippet from some of the repositories, that what I had done in the examples before, then you're pretty sure that it is a code that has been copied. And for that, there are many different tools like GPT-0 or Detect GPT. These are tools that you can use. They are free. You can just put the code in there and it will tell you, there's a very high probability that it has been generated.
Wait a minute. Are you saying we have free tools now that search for snippets and compare it to actual repositories like Black Duck and Palamida, Palamida, Flexera, Black Duck, the commercial products?
Yeah, there are some free tools, and of course there are the commercial tools like Flexera, FossID, Black Duck. They all have this snippet comparison, and they can exactly tell you if something has been copied or not.
But if you run one of those snippets tools, it takes forever, and you get hundreds of results because that one snippet may be found in 100 different projects. So in the end, it's a lot of work to find out what was the original snippet and if it's really an infringement, right?
It is some effort. What you can also do is look at the metadata of the code that you have. So very often you would find a tag, this has been generated by ChatGPT or co-authored by Copilot, or in the repository in the check-in messages, there would be some reference to an AI. That's not granted that it's always the case, but it could be, so you should look for it.
Well, for me as a lawyer, the first thing would be I want to know, is it AI generated? I would ask my customer or whoever sold me the code, is it AI generated? Can you guarantee it's not AI generated? And then I would have a look at it if it's a sound answer that I receive. So if they tell me, however, it is not AI generated, I would let them write out a guarantee saying it's not AI generated, I have all the rights from it. So what else can we do once we know it's AI generated?
Yeah, so this is the first question. Can I find or can I identify AI generated code? There the answer is there are mechanisms to look into it. It will not give you a 100% answer. So then the question is, what do I need to do as a company or as a developer? How can I protect myself? And then there are many different measures that you should introduce. First of all, it's organizational. So you should make your developers aware that there may be a risk when they use AI generated code. You need to define responsibilities. Whom can they ask? What can they use and what not? There should be some guidelines that you need to introduce.
From a legal point of view, that's really important because you cannot be 100% sure. I mean, that's the bad news for today. We cannot solve this problem 100%. But if something happens, people will ask you, what were your precaution measures that you took? What have you done to prevent that? And if you have done nothing, then you are very likely to be also liable for damages. Damages that occur because of the copyright infringement for yourself or for your customer, which could be the even higher damage if the product has to be recalled or something. So cease and desist is something you cannot prevent, but the damages, that's what's hurting you. And in order to prevent that, you need contracts in order to shift that liability and risk to someone else. Or if it's your risk, you have to make sure you have internal structures, like what you said, that you have taught your employees about the risk and had whatever available precautionary technical measures to prevent it.
Yeah, and there are many technical measures what you could do. First is you can ask your developers to mark the code that has been AI generated. So you should tell them whenever there is AI generated code that they mark the beginning and the end. Ideally, they also tell you which AI has been used and what was the prompt to produce the code. Then later on, it's very easy to prove, yes, I have used AI for this, or this is a human written code.
So that means if you've taken all precautionary measures that are available today, you are more likely to get away even if something goes wrong. As for damages, I mean, the code still has to be replaced, but the question is, do you have to pay for it? Do you have to pay damages for what happens? And the measures that we take today, I mean, this is all a new problem. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, if the tools are going to be better. I mean, Andreas, are there tools that are safer? Is it a typical GitHub problem?
It's with all the code. You don't know where it originally comes from, so it can be anywhere. And so marking the code is one idea. Then, of course, you need to have some kind of snippet scanning to look into the code to detect if it was used somewhere. There are also one measurement could be that you do not allow any AI, but just specific ones, or that you generate your own AI with your own code where you are very sure that you own the code, or that you have an AI model where you're sure that there is no copyrighted code that you can use.
Do you think, Andreas, there's a chance that future AI models will be better at coding, not doing copy paste, but actually generating actual new code that's unique and has not been used before?
So that I don't know, but the producers of these AI models, they are aware of the problem already, and they try to offer solutions. If we look at Copilot, what they have done, they have a switch which says do not use or do not copy code. So this switch, it still uses copied code. However, with the switch, they turn on a feature that only gives you a few characters instead of, you've seen here we produced whole algorithms. So if you turn on that switch, that will not happen anymore. It will just complete individual lines, and then the code looks very different. So the chance that you produce big chunks of copied code is lower if you use that feature.
So you say they are available, they are working on it. Quite likely that they may come up with better solutions, but that makes it even more important for us to mark code, and also with the model used, because we will have the legacy problem. Then today's code will be the future problem with legacy code that was not safely produced, even if we have a solution in the future.
Yep.
Okay. So that's all.
This is some measurements you should at least introduce. What you have learned today is that AI is in software development. You cannot develop code anymore without using AI. So it's not a solution to just forbid your developers using AI. That's not practical and not...
that's a solution we legals would come up with. Well, if that's a problem, then they just do it the old-fashioned way 3 years ago. They will not go with that.
Yeah, you cannot go with that. So then what we presented today is also, we had some examples, and then we showed what you can do. So first of all, you need to try to detect AI-generated code, and you need to have some guidelines, some governance on how to use AI-generated code in your company, how to do it, to give it a framework, and to also train your developers so that they know what they are allowed to do and what they should not do.
If you have to solve the problem for yourself and cannot shift it to someone else, that's for those people writing the code, producing the code. I think it's a much easier situation currently for the people buying the code, buying the software, because they only have to work with the contracts. And we get those requests right now. People are coming to us and say, hey, give me a contract, change my contract in a way that I will be safe, or that the problem is on the other side of the table. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for listening.
That is it. If you have any more questions, just reach out to Andreas for technical questions, and to me for... we have a card, the contact details, but it's probably in the description somewhere for the legal or the technical questions at Bitsy or Jun Legal. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming here, Andreas. And we will be going on tour with the story the next month. See you.
Thank you.